Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 43. I am the Angry Raccoon.
I'm Ace.
And we are back bringing you the first podcast of August 2016 and a slightly different and mashed up and all over the place podcast for the most part. As we kind of, once again, another summer day, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's still being sunny out, still annoying me, still having to wear sunglasses and still wanting that snow back.
I mean, I'm sure it has snowed in August at some point in this country. I'm pretty sure it has.
Probably. I mean, I remember like my mum saying about like when she was younger, it was lots of snow and like one time there was so much wind that a tree's got knocked over near where she lived, and it's like, I kind of want that. I
kind of just want it to be sunny but breezy because it makes dealing with life just a little bit more tricky. But I mean, can't complain too much. But it's just us two, this podcast. Ferret was originally going to be in the podcast, but he's hopefully going to be endeavouring in something quite successful. So let's wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he'll be back for the next podcast, hopefully talking vaguely about that. But other than that, Ace, what have you been up to? Let's actually get a catch up. What have you been doing film wise? I mean, I know we got a lot to talk about regarding what we've actually been up to, so I'll let you take the wheel for the most part.
Well, I've actually seen quite a lot recently. A lot of stuff that didn't come out this year, some that did. We're gonna do this and like some other stuff.
Oh jeez, I'm gonna talk about that in a sec. Yeah, go on.
But there's two really good films that I want to talk about, and it's two films I don't think anyone's really seen. It's really quite sad.
It's not that Emma Watson film, is it?
Which one's that?
The one that made less than £50, was it?
Oh yeah, no, not that one, but that's hilarious.
Okay.
I actually kind of want to watch that now. I forgot.
Jeez.
But no, the first one is a 2009 sci-fi film by the name of Moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I unfortunately can't remember who the director was, which is quite sad. But it stars Sam Rockwell, basically leading the whole film, and Kevin Spacey as the voice of a robot called Gertie. And it's a really, normal kind of robot. Not like super sci-fi. It's actually one you can imagine
doesn't
existing.
Look futuristic.
Yeah. It feels real, and that's what I like about this as sci-fi. The whole film feels like it could happen.
Yeah, it's just straightforward sci-fi. Yeah. It's not gone for, oh man, the future's going to be so futuristic and needless,
Yeah, it's very traditional. It's a nice callback to stuff from the 70s, like Silent Running in 2001. It's I really loved it, and if you're a sci-fi fan, watch Moon, buy it on Blu-ray.
It is a massive recommendation. I mean, to be fair, I think Moon probably was my favourite film of 2009. I think next to Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I think came out the same year.
I think that was 2009.
It was either 2009 or 2008, but regardless, Fantastic Mr. Fox is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Moon is probably one of my favourite films of all time. It's probably in the top 30s, if anything, but it is a fantastic film. Obviously, we can't talk too much about it because it's one of those films you just need to watch. Yeah,
it's a heavy spoiler territory.
Very much.
And definitely, what was it? There was something specific. Yeah, it cost about 10 million to make.
Yeah.
And it got 4.9 million at the box office, over time. And it's like, how did it make so little with how great it is? It's confusing.
It's very tricky, that whole situation of like what deserves to make money and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a bit of a shame. I mean, the film was, I guess, technically a bit of a slight independent film. I mean, I don't think Sam Rockwell was that mainstream with a lot of audiences.
He had been in a lot, but he wasn't a mainstream actor.
I mean, it's not as if they had like Will Smith. If Will Smith was starring the role, then obviously this film would have made like $2 billion.
Yeah.
But because everyone wants to see, Will Smith or Brad Pitt or George Clooney in space, which we got. But I think arguably Moon is the better of these space films compared to Gravity.
And Interstellar.
I mean, I still haven't seen Interstellar. I mean, I'd be very interested to actually see the actual science of it. The actual science that went into it in some sense.
It does have some, but then at one bit it just completely loses all realities of science, and it goes on the very soft Mo scale.
Is that because of Anne Hathaway?
No, it's I I think I could. I'm not even sure which one I'm talking about anymore. Actually, I think it's Interstellar. But yeah, it just loses its science like basis, and it's just fantasy. In
No,
some
it's got to
aspects.
become a film at some point, I guess, because people would leave the cinema if you actually present them with something worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic film other than that. Yeah.
Definitely watch Moon 2009. It's got fantastic poster as well. I
Oh
love
yeah, that poster is great.
I actually want that for my wall.
Oh yeah, it's so simply done as well, but it says so much about the film at the same time. Which is great.
The second film is 2008 film, Korean by Kim Jong-woon. It's The Good, the Bad, the Weird.
Oh yeah.
And this obviously heavily inspired by The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, the Sergio Leone Western film.
Mm-hmm.
This takes place in 1939 Manchuria, a little bit before World War II breaks out. And essentially you've got the three people that are after this one specific map that leads somewhere that they all believe is treasure. And you've got everyone else trying to get it as well, but these are the three we follow, being Song Kang-ho as Yun, the weird. You've got Lee Byung-hun as Park, the bad, and also Jung Won-sung as also another person called Park, which is the good. And it is a very funny film, surprisingly. Like, it's not, let's throw a joke in here, it's got nice visual comedy and some great action. It's saturated in colour. I love that. You don't see that much.
No, you don't, especially if you watch DC films, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't actually seen the film, but I know a lot about the film. I've seen enough clips, and I mean, actually knowing a little bit about Japanese, Chinese, like, cinema, if you look at a lot of the way it is, like, performed and kind of composed, it does kind of have a very visual, a very performed experience when you do get that kind of film. Not to say that, an Asian's film cannot have, like, let's say, subtlety or quietness that some other films may have, but I think with a film like that, it definitely kind of goes into territories of it is a it's a Japanese film that's being people it's Japanese so weird but it kind of it works in a sense, really, and I think that's why it's definitely a must watch for most people. I think you obviously agree with that.
It's definitely one of those things of you can tell that they chose to saturate it with colour for a reason to show how over the top it is. It reinforces it. Whereas, I mean, it's kind of like same situation with Mad Max Fury Road. They oversaturated it to show the craziness of the world. Yeah. It's almost hyper-real.
It's a shame another film didn't do the same.
Yeah, it really could have benefited from a hyper-real colour scheme.
Yeah, as soon as there was colour in that film, which we're going to get to very shortly.
But it does a very nice homage to the showdown from Good, Bad and the Ugly. It obviously does its own different take, and it's not a complete remake of the film. It does its own things.
Which we need more films of like that, especially if they're done with, I guess, this level of respect and homage. I mean, you see too many times where they just want to reboot a franchise because oh man, after watching subtitles, I mean, like apparently they're going to be remaking the Raid Redemption, and it's just like,
are you serious?
For Western audiences, because
oh god,
because the original films were in Indonesian.
Well, they can watch Dread. They can watch Dread. It's basically the Raid Redemption but American, and it's still good. Yeah,
but brand appeal.
Yeah. People.
We're going to talk films a lot on this podcast, so...
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean... But no one's asking for a remake of The Raid. Just watch The Raid.
Yeah, just watch The Raid. Watch The Raid 2 if you want more of The Raid.
And look forward to The Raid 3, the final chapter. I think that's what it's called or something like that.
I will love that by name alone.
I think it is. I think the director, who is English, which I'm sure... Hollywood Studios...
He's Welsh, isn't he?
Welsh, which I'm sure... Which is the main reason why I think they're remaking, because they're going, how dare this English bastard make a film that's critically acclaimed. We have to show him that, Hollywood makes the real films.
Yeah. I would love to see Hollywood try and do a Bollywood film and do it accurate. That would be hilarious.
Do you know how mainstream, like, a Bollywood film would have to be for them to go, right, we got to remake that?
No dance scenes.
And then I'm pretty sure they wouldn't even hire anyone who is Indian. They'd probably just get black actors.
Probably.
They'd probably be that misguided, or just get white actors and just have them be... Oh, yeah.
More like Great Wall of China.
Jeez.
Come on, Matt Damon. You're not Asian. Don't do this.
Leave him alone with that film.
I still need to watch The Martian. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, you mean comedy of 2015?
Yes. Yeah. That's all I can think of now with him. It's funny.
The comedy of the year should have gone to The Happening, starring Matt Damon.
Wait, Happening wasn't Matt Damon. It was
sorry, Marky
Mark and the Funky Bunch.
But I still think comedy should have gone to that film.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a cough. But don't
forget the hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
They get a bad rap.
They get a bad rap. Jeez.
Yeah, if you haven't watched The Happening, watch that as well. It's a great film. It's got Mark Wahlberg, and Zoe Deschanel or Zoe Douchebag. That's the thing, I like her, but I give her that name, so yeah.
And her wide, staring eyes.
Yeah. It's a fun film.
That's a whole nother project on its own. I mean, we can go on for days about
we really
how good/bad the film M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening is, but
yeah.
I digress.
So you got 3 films from me. You've got The Good, Bad, and The Weird. You've got Moon, and you've got The Happening. 2 good and 1 so bad it's good.
Pick it up on Blu-ray now.
Definitely.
Is that it for you?
Yeah, I mean, there are other stuff I watched. One that I can't remember the name of because it was French, and I didn't particularly like it, so I'm just not going to talk too much about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my week has been somewhat busy, but I did still manage to sneak a couple things in. I've mainly been kind of finishing up one of the major sides of my written piece, which is why... after this podcast, you're going to see a slight increase in videos and then a slight decrease once more for the rest of this year, in case anyone cares. But I'd kind of start off with the first thing I watched, which was a series which I found out about just recently and had to watch just on the premise alone, and that is Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge.
Interesting. I've never heard of that.
Not a lot of people have. This is a somewhat pseudo-reality TV series where they take... I think it was about 8 people who make, practical effects, animatronics, puppetry, electronics, all these kinds of things that you would see that would make something practical work. And they kind of pit them out within Jim Henson's actual, Creature Shop studio for a chance to actually win a prize sum and actually get the job to work for that studio. Obviously, if you don't know Jim Henson or Jim Henson Company, they're pretty much behind any source of... puppetry or animatronics from about, early 80s to even now. I mean, working on, massive productions and stuff like that.
They did the first Star Wars film. Mm-hmm. They did Labyrinth, one of my favourite films.
Labyrinth.
Yeah. Dark Crystal, which is amazing.
Sesame Street. Yeah. Muppets, Dinosaurs, practical effects for things like Men in Black.
Yeah. Amazing work.
Pretty much almost anything that looked real, and even some of the judges they had, one of the guys, he worked on Gremlins and Star Wars, another lady, nice. She worked on a lot of the cosmetic stuff for Walking Dead and other shows, and obviously, I forget the other guy who's in charge of it, excuse me, but it was a really interesting show to actually, if you are interested in that kind of practical side of artistry, painting, the whole kind of thing that goes into making these kinds of things, I would strongly recommend the series. It is a very interesting watch. The only downside is they don't go into too much of technical details. Obviously, because it's a competition, they're only given about 3 days to make something, so they're not exactly going to spend their time in front of the camera going, right, what I'm doing is I'm going to apply this servo to make this eye blink, and what I do is I essentially, weld it like this. Yeah. No, they don't have time for that, which is a bit of a shame, but...
It's understandable. Yeah, you really want to know that kind of stuff. It's amazing. You really want to know,
especially because I watched... The second episode is where things get real, because they always kind of presented with one challenge, and it's always testing them each time. The second episode, which I highly recommend starting with, they make Skeksis.
Really?
They make Skeksis from the Dark Crystal. Literally, they come in, at the beginning of the episode, they have the original Skeksis from the film, and they're like, you have 3 days to make a Skeksis.
That's amazing.
A Skeksis that's been banished and is now returned to come and claim the throne.
Oh my god, I need to watch this now.
It is some of the stuff some of the stuff they do is fantastic. They make Skeksis, they I don't want to spoil too much when it gets to the later season. They make waxed heads that can actually talk.
Ah, okay.
They make something completely made out of junk.
Is that the thing from Labyrinth at all?
No, they just make.
Oh, okay.
They were tasked with making things made from junk.
Okay.
They were very interesting when they had to make a creature that could camouflage in a habitat.
That's cool.
And towards the later series, they get really cool where they have to like make an alien disguised as another alien.
Oh, okay. I like
which
that.
I'm not going to spoil what gets made, but some of the stuff is really freaking cool.
I like this.
It is really amazing. Definitely a must-watch show.
Yeah, I need to watch that now.
It's a shame it hasn't been put on DVD or it's not on any kind of like website because I believe Sci-Fi streamed it, and I would like to see another season of the series because there's so much more they could have had people do. In a sense, I would have, just loved to see that kind of thing. But
did it come out like this year or
2000? I think the end of 2014 or 15.
Okay.
So it is a fairly recent show, but people are kind of asking, where is it? And even one of the guys who was runner-up, so actually I should say, someone who was runner-up, you can see their work if you are a fan of Adult Swim. But I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to spoil who gets to the final or whatever, but their work has been prominent in a particular show for Adult Swim.
Okay.
So yeah, the other show I watched was Voltron Legendary Defenders. This was the Netflix series we did cover a couple podcasts ago. DreamWorks is one of DreamWorks' only original shows, but that's obviously a technicality because it is a reboot. But I watched the whole series. It was pretty damn good. I'm not going to speak too much about it because I am planning to do some kind of review video on it at some point this year. I don't know when because it is quite a big series as soon as season 1 is finished and season 2 is going to be debuting later this year. Definitely watch it if you are interested in watching a show that, especially if you like Korra or Legend of Avatar. It's the same guys who brought you that. It was definitely surprising to see that they've taken Voltron, a show that literally could have come down to just every episode, here's the monster, let's form Voltron. How do we beat the monster? I don't know. We beat the monster. No.
The Power Rangers formula.
No, they don't do that.
Yeah.
It's very evident from the end of episode 2 that they are not doing that because they actually take time to develop the characters, build a team, and actually, talk and kind of do things. I mean, the cast is fantastic. The characters are great. I mean, they've done some things that I'm surprised people aren't talking about. In a sense, not that it's like a massive big deal, but it's like you see it and it's like, whoa, that was handled incredibly well. I'm surprised these kinds of people haven't made a bigger deal about it, soon as that is what they are striving for, without spoiling too much. No idea why no one has, said anything about this or used it as a good example. But no, people are too busy screaming about other things. But I definitely recommend it. Can't wait for season 2. That can't come soon enough. But yeah, look forward to the video.
Because I remember I watched the first episode and I told you I didn't enjoy it. And because there was a lot of juvenile stuff in the first episode.
Yeah, and I would say if you do, because the first episode is about an hour long, if you do watch it first episode and you are kind of having those feelings of, I don't really know, stick with the second episode. Because by the end of the second episode, you'll be like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are doing. You will understand why it's a much better show. Because those kinds of things you're talking about, they become a joke within the series. In a sense where it's just like, they progress. And the characters, there actually is character. And I did like how one person, I'm not going to name or shame, one person did try and present a theory which was evident in the original series. And it's like, it's not a theory if it's fact.
Okay.
But I'm not going to spoil that. You can figure out. Don't go on Tumblr because they're already, so happy about it. But yeah, the other thing I talked about, sticking with Netflix, Stranger Things, the most talked about television series of this year, I'd probably say.
Yeah, I think so.
We're not going to talk too much about it because we are going to upload a review discussion on it. Yeah, the first review discussion on a TV series. It's not just a film.
Yeah.
It's that good, or is it? A lot
question marks.
Yeah, question mark. This is a fantastic series. I mean, I'm not going to use any terminology like, believe the hype. But I think if you're going to watch the trailer or you're going to see any kind of images from it and it looks like you might enjoy some kind of sci-fi-esque horror, throwback to the 80s nostalgia fest, good quality writing, character development, story, then I think it probably would be for you.
It's definitely a good TV show. I do recommend it.
No, we strongly recommend it. You should be hooked by the first 10 minutes of the first episode. If not, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Simply put. And the only other thing I wanted to mention real quick, it's kind of like a half kind of thing, and that is the return of Robot Wars to BBC Two. I have been watching it. I did catch up. I haven't watched the newest episode.
Yeah.
But it's been very interesting. I just kind of want to throw that out there for anyone who did watch the original English series, because the American version is just rubbish.
Yes, it is.
I'd strongly recommend it. They've changed it up a little bit, but it still feels the same. They've got the original commentator back, original judges.
Oh.
Someone else different is hosting. I can't remember his name, but he's doing a great job of it. They're definitely treating it with a lot more respect. They are kind of going into it with a bit more of, they're not kind of going, oh, what's this show about robots fighting? Yeah. They're more going, this is a show about robots fighting with carnage, but there's also the element of, robotics and the future and how things have progressed. They do take time to kind of go, to at least speak with the team and go, how did you make this robot? Where are you coming from? What's going to happen with robots in this kind of future? And it has been quite surprising so far, because they're going to do one series so far of about 8 episodes, obviously leading to a final. And it is quite interesting. There have been very interesting upsets so far, even to the point where, not really a spoiler, but a very famous robot does return in the first episode, and you're like, oh snap, they're going to come in, get knocked out first round, and it's like, oh.
Wow, okay.
Oh, there's been some legends return to the...
Has Matilda series. Returned?
Oh yeah, the original house robots are back. The only one that hasn't returned... There is one that hasn't returned. I'm trying to think which one it is. Yeah, what's it? Sergeant Slam. Or or Shunt. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
Don't know what it is. Dead Metal, Matilda, Sakila, they're all back.
Brilliant.
Don't know what the others are. But there's been some upsets. We've had, so far as I know, 3 legends come back, which has been very interesting. One, just as a spoiler, one that couldn't be taken out, apparently, and one very braggadocious one has returned.
Okay.
So far, and it's very interesting to see what happens. It's very interesting, and I would recommend watching it if you can. BBC iPlayer.
I'm gonna have to.
I believe it's shown at 8 p.m. on BBC Two.
I think I remember my sister telling me about this, but I thought it was just showing repeats of it, so I never end up watching.
No, because they haven't. It's technically season, I think 8 or 6, but they haven't said. They're just Robot Wars back.
Do they still say Roboteers standing by?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they still say that. They still have 3, 2, 1 activate.
Oh, this is great.
The crowd knows.
Yeah.
The crowd knows, and there's been some generally awesome. It's been a really good series so far. I mean, obviously you're like, oh, I want to see the robots fight, but it was very funny to see the return of Robot Wars come back, and then one round is just the most boring round in robot history, and it was like, what the hell? Even the commentator was like, I don't think we came back for this.
Oh no!
Literally, if you want to see a match where the robots don't even come into contact, it's
really
yes.
Oh my god!
And the funny thing with the episode was the team who one was having issues and the other one was just being coy and running away. They had the balls to then be like, "Oh yeah, we're up against this guy and we're gonna cut off his weapon." They can't cut; they can flip. And you can tell brilliant. This guy is just so salty because when the woman interviews him about that was the most boring match, he's like, "Oh yeah, but we're having." He's just salty for the rest of for the rest of that 35 minutes of the show. He's just so salty. But yeah, it's very interesting. I have my favourites as to who's going round, and we'll probably even watch an episode after this.
Yeah, probably.
Woo!
Yeah.
But yeah, that's enough nostalgia for I think one podcast. I mean, we could do a whole video on Robot Wars.
We probably could, to be honest.
We probably could. Maybe we'll do a review of series 6, say whatever this one is. But yeah, let's move on to topics. We got a lot of things to cover, a lot of big bulks. But the first I think we definitely need to talk about is the fact that we had the unfortunate passing of Kenny Baker, who I think almost everyone should recognize as R2-D2, the actor of R2-D2, arguably the most iconic robot in pop culture and fiction. I would say. Yeah. He unfortunately passed away aged 81, and it was. I mean, everyone knows I'm not a massive fan of Star Wars, even to the point where I dislike it. But this is generally upsetting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, considering I'm sitting here wearing a Star Wars T-shirt, it is really upsetting to hear, and He's also been in Time Bandits, which is a phenomenal film.
Fantastic
and he was one part of the duo The Minitones.
I think I've heard of that.
It's a music group.
No, I've not heard of that.
Okay. That someone was telling me about it, how like they met him at a gig or something, and he was showing like some stuff like about like the band to them and stuff. I need to check up on them because I only learned about them recently.
Sure thing. I mean, it was very upsetting. This was just kind of on the tail end of like us putting together the podcast, and it was kind of like, oh man, it's doing so well.
Yeah.
Regarding iconic and memorable people who don't deserve to die just yet. But I mean, it is really unfortunate. I mean, it's a bit of a shame, but I mean, I think the guy has obviously left the world with a lot of iconic roles. He would definitely be remembered compared to other people who still exist in this world. But yeah, really unfortunate. We definitely thought we must mention, such a legend, as I would say once again. Really unfortunate. So moving on to, I think, the first big bulk we have to talk about, because there was very few variety in news on this podcast, but we've got a big bulk of a lot of the stuff. So I'm going to be covering the first big bulk, which is going to be the 2016 Rio Olympics.
Yeah.
Ace, have you been keeping up in any kind of sense on the Olympics?
Strangely enough, I usually don't care about the Olympics, but I sat downstairs with my mum and sister and decided to watch one of the running ones. I can't remember exactly what.
Okay.
And I was having so much fun joking about, because it was basically me and my sister just riff tracking it, and it was hilarious.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We both we get really witty and sarcastic about things, and my mum was just sitting there like, "What are you doing?" But it was funny. That's mostly what I've been following of the Olympics.
I haven't been following too much. I've just been able to see articles in the newspaper and just snippets posted online, which we're going to get to. Obviously, there is way too much to cover. We could do a whole special on just 1 week of the Olympics, and we still got 3 more weeks, I believe.
I have no clue.
We have a few more weeks left of the Olympics, and you have to remember Paralympics as well.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting. But one thing I definitely wanted to address, because I think a lot of our English listeners may not necessarily be aware that over in America, it is NBC who is covering all the coverage regarding the Olympics. Now, there has been a bit of an issue where NBC has been very malicious about this, and I can imagine quite a few Americans who, if there are any Americans who do listen, might already know that they've been doing a pretty terrible job actually covering the Olympics. Now, regarding the description where I put all the links to everything and the download link, it's going to get a bit hazy. So what I'm going to be saying is very much based on what has just kind of been heard, because the situation seems to be that NBC is essentially monopolizing all coverage of the Rio Olympics, and that also means via televised and also via web-based journalist sites. If you are reporting on the Rio Olympics and you are not NBC, you are liable to be sued by them. That is something that they have actively stated and actively will go by. They are being extremely malicious about this, and I want to make sure that people know. Unfortunately, we are lucky to have a very well-respected industry like the BBC actually cover our Olympics, and then we have Channel 4 who are going to be covering the Paralympics. It is really distressing the kinds of things they've done by delaying the opening ceremony by a couple hours because they want to show it during prime time, and then essentially lying about that and saying, oh yeah, well that's because mothers or people who sit at home all day want to do this, want to watch it, and even to the point where they are picking and choosing what they want to show, and at the same time not showing the results, because one guy who's in charge of NBC or in charge of the coverage is saying things like, oh yeah, well, mostly women are home during prime times and they don't care about the results.
What?
It doesn't matter whether you think women don't like the results. You need to provide that information.
Exactly.
If you're going to be the only source of this Olympics, you need to do your fucking job and provide information. Because unfortunately, under my impression, a lot of Americans are being left out of the dark.
Yeah,
and are left in fear from knowledge.
Yeah, from what you're saying, it sounds ridiculous.
Now, I am going to provide a very funny video that
ETC.
The ETC did, where unfortunately they are resorted to pictures in order to actually talk about it, because for fear of being sued, as they cover a lot more of the stuff and they have a lot more articles or have somehow found enough more information that I'm relaying onto you, so you can get the facts. So that video will be in the description, so you guys can hopefully get a better score. But yeah, I think it's pretty terrible. I mean, this whole situation, I think people are definitely really annoyed by it. Yeah. I mean, NBC is one of the big bads out there, and I think it's really annoying that they're doing this. I mean, a lot of comments, like one I'm looking at in this article was saying this is the worst Olympics coverage ever. You guys still cover sports like it's the 1970s.
Bloody hell.
And other things like that. I mean, it's really annoying for anyone who actually wants to watch the Rio Olympics and just kind of being shut down and kind of just being like, nope, you can't see that. I mean, I've also kind of theorized that thank goodness at this current time America is leading in medals, because if they wouldn't, they probably wouldn't tell people, would they?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, if it was Russia or some other country, they would never disclose the results.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they would act like North Korea and say, oh yeah, we won that. We won that.
Don't worry, we got to the sun before anyone else.
Don't ignore those guys. We're going to sue them for false information.
Yeah.
Listen to us. Yeah, we won it. Is it going to get to that point? It is somewhat ridiculous, but
this is why I really can't take so many mainstream news sources seriously.
No, you shouldn't.
They're so biased. It's ridiculous.
I understand that obviously that is a bit of an interesting comment coming from us.
Yeah.
Talking, having our main source of information being these journalistic sites, but the way I see this podcast is, think of it as like, this might be a weird analogy, but spare ribs that you may order. The journalistic sites we use are the bones. Sure, some people like to eat the bones and can, and some people think that's a big part of the meal, but really you're here for the meat, which is us.
Yeah, we're trying to provide the actual information.
The actual information and the source, which is our opinions, which I think is, that's the thing that really, I'd imagine hopefully keeps you coming. But NBC, absolutely terrible. I mean, they always have been, but this is just despicable for the most part.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely terrible. I mean, it doesn't help with a lot of the issues that have been happening with the Rio Olympics in general. I mean, I have one report here which talks about how a kayaker apparently capsized after hitting an underwater sofa. Now, this is not confirmed. They are looking into it, which is a bit weird, because if you need to look into something, then that means something obviously did happen. But yeah, apparently a kayaker who was training apparently crashed into a sofa that was in obviously Rio's infamous dirty lake, which is quite interesting. I mean, I find this story somewhat hilarious and very upsetting because let's say, because there have been other reports of people finding things in the water, let's say they are doing one of the more serious sporting events and someone is slowed down or prevented by something that isn't obviously seen because it's under the water, and then someone else wins, that would be unfair. Who's in question for that situation?
Yeah.
I mean, I would kind of hope that isn't the case, but knowing what's been said and all that, it's fairly unlikely, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think they'd at least try and clear the area before the Olympics, but doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean, but let's go into some more of the funnier stuff, some of the more funny and positive stuff that's happened with the Rio Olympics. So we're going to be moving on to a Canadian swimmer who has a very, I guess, strange kind of signature ritual, if you want, whenever he's competing. And that is essentially to flip the bird, give the camera or anyone looking the middle finger.
He's channeling his inner Stone Cold Steve Austin here.
Possibly. Now, when the 21-year-old was asked, why are you obviously flipping the birds almost any time, he basically talked about how how his dad, who was kind of like his coach, said, you need to get all your anger out. You need to put all the anger into your performance. Get angry, to vent that anger, and one way in which he does it is to, flip his dad off, basically. Yeah. Basically telling his dad to fuck off. Yeah. I don't know if there's... I think there is a mutual relationship, but I think it's literally just, fuck you, I'm gonna win this thing. Fuck you,
Fuck you, Dad, I could do it.
I mean, I think it is pretty funny, just looking at the images of just this guy just being like, yeah, fuck off, basically. I love this story. I think it's great. I mean, everyone needs their own way to perform and all that kind of thing. So, more power to him, I guess, honestly.
But I can't wait for someone to start doing a JoJo pose as their pump up thing.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most Western journalists sites wouldn't even been able to pick up on that, if anything.
Yeah. They're just like, why is he doing this weird stance? Not even realizing they're using a similar enough word. Yeah,
it's tricky. I mean, here's another thing, kind of going back to the whole coverage of the Olympics. We're going to talk about the unfortunate incident where a French gymnast unfortunately broke his leg live on. I'm completely losing the words here. Live on stream
TV.
camera. Live on TV. Couldn't think.
I was thinking it couldn't be the word TV again. Just
really? I'm not all there. I haven't really slept today, guys. So I did unfortunately see the clip, and I was like, oh fuck, it was extremely painful and distressing to watch, and we are gonna link it in the description. But the article, I've picked out an article that doesn't immediately show anything, so viewer advise. Something quite upsetting would happen if you're going to watch this video.
Is it anything because this instantly reminded me of the episode of Simpsons where it showed someone doing a dismount gymnast, and then they just land and then they start screaming because they broke their leg.
Oh, you've not seen the clip?
No, I didn't watch this because I hate foot injuries.
Without going into any details, he unfortunately lands incorrectly, and he does mess up his leg, and he is in pain, and they do kind of come rushing in. The biggest issue with this video is the fact that I'm surprised they held on it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, with something that is that obvious, disturbing, you'd think they may have gone, all right, let's cut to that. No, they hang on that for a good while.
Is there anything like Sid Vicious, the wrestler, not the performer, who broke his leg jumping off the top rope, and the foot just it looks like it's coming off, but it's still attached?
No.
Okay.
It looks like it's been disfigured, basically. And it's if you watch it, which is up to you, it doesn't make much sense how he does it, because he lands on his back and somehow does it.
Weird.
It's very weird. Like I said, viewer discretion advised. We kind of want to mention this only because it's only because I literally why did you guys not cut away from that?
Yeah, that's strange.
I mean, I can understand you want to get all the coverage, but holding on that shot for just a bit too long there.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if NBC even covered this.
Don't know. I mean, maybe they thought, oh my god, someone's injured. This is going to get more people watching.
This is going to be
This is
juicy.
what the housewives want to watch.
Yeah, this is what they want to watch. They don't care about the results.
They just want to see people getting their legs broken.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. Moving back onto slightly more positive things. We have a Chinese swimmer who has
captured the hearts of people.
As some people are reporting, so I'm not going to say a second name because I don't know how you would say it, but Fu, essentially, she, during an interview after doing the finals of, I believe, the women's swimming competition.
Yeah.
I'm always forgetting things, jeez. And we are going to link the video in the description. She is obviously interviewed about a performance, to which she's kind of very nonchalant, oh man, I didn't do too well, she's kind of making light of herself, say, oh, it's because of my short arms, oh, I broke the Chinese record, but, she's very down on herself, which is quite funny, despite the fact that she's actually won bronze.
Yeah.
And her reaction, because she didn't know somehow, I'm not sure how she didn't know.
I think she thought she came fourth, even though right at the beginning the person says,
she says
you were this far away from second.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she was honestly just beating herself up too much. But her reaction to initially finding out that she's won bronze was pretty hilarious.
It's amazing.
It is really nice to see, and we're definitely going to link one of the articles that actually shows that fateful video where she's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
And another article which kind of goes into a bit more detail about the kind of character she is, because she has very much acknowledged her internet fame for the most part. So we'll link an article if you want to know more about her, because she is, doing whatever. I mean, she won bronze, so more power to her, which is absolutely fantastic. Honestly, she did a great job.
She did.
Now moving on to our final story, which I am going to hand to you, Ace, which is somewhat still keeping in line with happiness and heartwarming.
This one made me smile so much because I really love animals. So for the Olympics, for the tennis open, they have decided, instead of using ball boys, they have shelter dogs from Brazil's the shelter in Sao Paulo. And these 4 dogs, they used to be street dogs, which they brought in and they helped get better, and they started training for this. And the 4 dogs, by the way, are called Frida, Costella, Mel, and Isabel. And the whole thing, the reason why these cute dogs are being the ball boys, it's for awareness for adopting the dogs in shelters. Specifically, it's they called it the Brazil Open for Adoption Awareness.
Yeah, it's basically to say that hey, dogs that may have been abandoned or up for adoption, they're fine. You can
still be raised.
Yeah,
they're still friendly.
I mean, they definitely did a good job actually retrieving the ball.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a dog, they didn't really want to let go of it after they kind of got it. But I would give them, they were at least responsive to it.
They were, and they were so endearing.
And it was quite funny to actually see this, and it was nice. It was a positive other than people being awarded for physical achievement, which is great. I mean, the only people who aren't going to succeed in physical achievement is North Korea and Russia, but we don't know why. But yeah, that could be a whole. That's going to be the theme of this podcast. That could be a whole another project. Okay,
but
right.
It was just so sweet, and I had to mention it because I loved it.
It was nice, and I do, like I said, I do like to see nice things actually, come out of the Olympics other than achievements like that. But yeah, so moving on to, we're going to kind of take a bit of a break from a big, massive bulk of things, and we're kind of going to let's scratch that. We're going to discuss a trailer, and that is the trailer for Resident Evil, the final chapter teaser trailer.
So I would just say I love the title final chapter just in anything, even if it doesn't work. But I can't. Did you see the one where Mila Jovovich was doing the intro first?
I've linked that one.
Yeah. Okay, so at first she's just saying to IGN, she keeps mentioning IGN, and it felt really cringy and
probably
sad.
The first time she's ever heard of IGN, perhaps.
Yeah, probably.
She's probably just trying to remember the initials. IGN, yeah, it's IGN.
But yeah, she introduces and then it goes into the trailer, and we basically got Guns N' Roses' Paradise City playing throughout the whole thing.
Oh, so cliched.
Yeah. It's probably actually one of my least favourite Guns N' Roses songs out of all of them.
It's one of the more famous ones, actually.
Yeah, I know, but it's one of my least faves.
My favourite one is I can't remember it, but I know it's the music video where the girl's like, fuck school, I'm gonna hang out at the mall and, do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember that song.
I can't remember the name of the song.
But it's that one.
Yeah.
Let us know which song that is if Ace can't figure it out for some reason.
I know, this band I've been listening to since I was a kid, so I should know. But it's doing that, it's showing the whole Jovovich on a motorbike, as Alice.
Being badass.
Yeah. And you had the little thing of her with the rope and killing people, because, it's normal. But she's returned to Raccoon City, is the main point. And specifically, she's returning to the Hive, which was in Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
So it is kind of, I guess, a nostalgia for the Resident Evil movie franchise.
But I don't know anyone who is honestly going to be like, oh man, this takes me back to 2003.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's still got the same thing as 2003, where it's just using popular music.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one cool thing about the Resident Evil movie, and that was the dogs, because they were actual dogs.
The dogs were the worst. The makeup using them was terrible.
At least they use makeup compared to the later on films. They're like, we'll just CGI that.
It's true, but yeah, something about it just looked horrible to me.
I know something that actually makes you feel better. That was actually having the dogs actually be the zombies is one of the trickiest scenes in the films, because the dogs kept licking the makeup.
Oh, that's adorable.
So they had to keep applying it to them. That's why they're not in it for so long.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But it was. I've never watched any of the Resident Evil films. I've just kind of seen people's reactions. I've kind of just been like, "Oh, this is terrible."
I've seen every single one of them, and they get even worse as they go on.
I've joked about. I think one of them we joked about with Obsidian, friend of the podcast, and he was talking about the one where they had some of the characters from the video game series.
Oh, I think that's 3 or 4.
He was talking about how hilariously bad their characters was, and how Leon had like some deep black man's voice compared to it being like some obvious American white guy, and it was too fun. I haven't watched any of them. I do intend to watch them at some point just to kind of obviously laugh, but this trailer in itself was just trying so hard to be serious. It was so funny. It wasn't unintentionally funny. I mean, at that point you could kind of tell maybe they weren't taking it too seriously, but there's other points where you're just like, when she's fighting, I think, Wesker.
Oh,
like, oh man, I'm gonna fight you and I'm gonna jump over these lasers. It's like, oh my god.
Well, that lasers, that's actually a reference to the first
film where that guy gets sliced and diced. Yeah. But it was just like, oh god.
Yeah. It's I think it's gonna be funny. That's all I have to say.
I would legit like to see this film just not care and just come out with a more comedic film and actually make a good film out of it. I don't want it to be successful for the point in which for them to go, oh, we'll make another one, because I don't think they're going to, because I think Capcom has decided, right, we're taking them rights back. Yeah. I think they've literally gone, you are actually making a mockery of what we want Resident Evil to be once again, thanks to the whole Resident Evil 7, demo and that existing. I think they've literally gone, okay, you can finish off your Resident Evil, because maybe we'll get another set of Resident Evil films that maybe one's based off 7, maybe one's actually based off the first film. I would love to see something in the same vein of like remake, if anything.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's unlikely, but that's just my theory. I would love to report in a couple of weeks' time saying Capcom takes back the rights. Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, if I feel like it's going to be something funny that I will watch, not in the cinemas. I'll watch it at some point when it's on DVD for like £2, and I'll have fun. I don't know if I've got £2 spare.
I'm hoping to buy the whole series for less than £2.
That's going to take a while.
I mean,
I have the first 2 still on DVD, so
they're not regarded as masterpieces. So I'm not. They're not. There's not exactly going to be a high price on these things.
It's true. Just got to check somewhere like CEX or something. They're a bit cheap.
I guess. Yeah. I guess that would be the hope, for the most part. But yeah. So
talking about something else that's cheap.
Oh, yeah.
DC fans' expectations.
I couldn't have put it better myself. So, as we all know, and as was hinted at the beginning of this podcast, the film Suicide Squad finally released to shockingly poor receptions from, I think, almost everyone. And don't try and lie, DC, Warner Brothers, and say how audiences like the films more than critic. No, they don't.
They don't. A lot of people seem to be DC fanboys, and they hate, like, if you liked any Marvel film, you are instantly a Marvel fanboy.
Which I say, why not both?
Exactly. I like both Marvel and DC. I mean, I actually own more DC comic books than Marvel.
You know what I mean? Do you think, do these people's thought process literally just assume that one half of the world only watches Marvel films and are actively dissing them, and vice versa?
I honestly believe so. It's got that same childish mindset of like Xbox or PlayStation. It's like, no, enjoy both when they're both good. If you don't enjoy the good one.
Yeah, I can't wait for that day. But yeah, so the first kind of story we're talking about, because we are going to kind of rant on DC. So if you are a DC fan, turn off and fuck off, because, if you can't take an opinion, you're going to struggle in this world. Yeah. The first one comes with the fact that a DC fan has created a petition on everyone's favorite change.org in order to shut down the actual Warner Brothers based owned website Rotten Tomatoes. This petition, which is quite hilarious, because they seem to just assume that people, critics, and I guess other Marvel fanboys are essentially negatively reviewing these films, just putting them down in a sense.
For the fact that they're DC.
Yeah, they're giving them just generally giving them a hard time for the most part. As the person who set up the petition obviously says they're picking on the DC
Extended Universe.
Extended Universe was a shit name.
Yeah.
Basically they're going after films like Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad. Yeah, they are really attacking your universe right there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, most of Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Warner Brothers.
And considering that reviews aren't put on the site. They just aggregate reviews from other places.
Yeah, it's no different than Metacritic
Exactly.
or IDW.
Yeah, I mean, with Metacritic, there's actually more involvement from the fans.
Yeah, because they can actually vote.
Exactly. So it's not even that Rotten Tomatoes, this random, organisation, is actively putting your thing down. It's people reviewing it.
It's run by people.
Exactly.
It's run by fans.
Yeah.
It's just a glorified, server, if anything. And I guess soon as anyone can go batshit crazy and kind of go, right, we need to take this whole website down because a few people didn't like Suicide Squad, is a bit extreme. And I do like the fact that since this report has come out, the person who did start the petition has taken it down, realizing that it's a pretty stupid idea.
Yes.
I mean, really, you're trying to silence people's opinions once again.
Yeah, it's one of those problems with bad films. But we've got something here from John Ostrander.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a big comic fan and you've read the original Suicide Squad that came out in... Well, I wouldn't say it was the original because there was one before that, but the 1987 run of Suicide Squad, in which villains were actually put in the squad. It was written by John Ostrander.
Mm-hmm.
He run that from 1987 to 1992. Really good run. Starts off amazing, and he's the reason Amanda Waller is such a cool character.
Mm-hmm.
But he went to see the film, and he said this: everyone has a right to their own opinion, even when it's wrong. Basically saying, like, he liked the film, he's saying everyone's just hating it, and if every superhero film is not The Dark Knight, they'll bitch. I think that's going on here to a certain degree. Just as I came prepared to love the movie, they came prepared to hate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is what, I mean, at least he did acknowledge the fact that it's to a small degree that if people are doing this.
Oh, of course. We're not trying to say that there aren't people who are actively, hating on this film.
Yeah.
There are, much like there are DC fans who are actively hating on Marvel films,
Indeed.
however way they can. There's a statement about like the whole if it's not The Dark Knight Returns, people will hate it. I think I think it's very true for a lot of situations, especially regarding DC and Warner Bros. Itself, because they are so desperate to remake that film.
Yeah.
In any which they can.
He was just talking about the Dark Knight film in general. The
series?
Joker. Heath Ledger one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you've got a hard performance to live up to, and you obviously didn't try. No one tried.
It's very true.
That's like, I mean, we are going to be doing a review discussion on Suicide Squad, and I think the bottom line of the film is just no one fucking tried, honestly.
Yeah.
Or if anyone tried, they tried for the wrong reasons.
There's definitely a real lack of heart in the film, and we will be discussing this. It's going to be an interesting video.
We don't want to bog down this podcast because I already know we're going to talk about this film for about an hour, like minimum, if anything. But it is kind of interesting because once again, DC has released their second film this year, and it is a failure in most people's eyes. Most fans don't like it. Most critics don't like it. Most people who just wanted to see a good film are coming at this film going, well, that was rubbish.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, because I have not seen the film, but from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like I want to see the film. That's just my opinion.
I recommend you don't watch it, to be honest. In general, you will get annoyed. I'm not lying there at all.
Yeah, I can see myself getting annoyed because I think I've already talked on the podcast much how I just have a massive disdain for Jared Leto as an actor, as a person, as a musician, and it's just like he was going to be the one thing that was going to sink this film. Turns out I was correct, but for the most part, I didn't even come close to the amount of issues that were really plaguing this film. Honestly, we're not gonna, like I said, we're not gonna talk too much about like these production issues because it is massive. Like it's something that is a big deal, but is going to become relevant to what we're about to talk about, which is the fact that DC or Warner Brothers definitely seems to be worrying about what is actually happening, to just general things, even to the point where they're doing things like they've announced Man of Steel 2, like that's going to help.
Yeah, I mean, considering one of the things was they cancelled it because they thought no one would go see it, and they didn't want to do another Superman film, etc. It was like,
don't do another Superman film because no one wants it.
I want a good Superman film. That's what I want.
You're asking for too much there.
I am. It's annoying.
Way too much, because they ain't gonna make a good Superman film that's not in their
the best Superman film is the animated Superman vs. the Authority, or it's Superman vs. the Elite, which is based on Superman vs. the Authority. But yeah, that's the best one that's animated, and no good live action. I mean, the 80s ones, 70s, I can't remember. Those are still fun, but I want a good one, a good modern film.
Ain't gonna happen. Superman's too powerful and no one's interested in trying.
Seems so.
Simply put, I mean, so we have this one open letter which kind of came about after the initial reaction to Suicide Squad came out, and it was essentially an open letter to the Warner Brothers CEOs, which stated a lot of things. One of the major things, which you'll definitely see in the title of this article, is that Wonder Woman is a mess.
Yes.
Much like their last two endeavors into a cinematic universe. Now, this person who has gone on an anonymous name, it's obviously not their real name because it's a reference to like a film or something like that, they've essentially decided that it's now best to actually call out what is actually going on in Warner Brothers and DC's studios. Now, obviously, we don't know if this is true, but from what they're saying and a lot of the things they're talking about, like how they're obviously able to reference obviously massive production issues within films like Suicide Squad, the fact that there's been a lot of CEO and higher up meddling, which has obviously been prevalent, and just the fact that this person is just honestly just really pissed off because I believe they are coming from an inside source, even to the point where they are mentioning that Warner Brothers as a whole don't know what the hell they are doing. Even to the point where they are citing and talking about things like Jupiter Ascending, that was a fail. Get Hard, that was a fail. Hot Pursuit, Mad Max, Vacation, Pan, Point Break. Other than Mad Max, all films that underperformed and failed. Yeah. I mean,
Mad Max had big creator control by George Miller.
Exactly.
He made sure no one interfered.
Yeah, that's his child. You ain't gonna touch it. I mean, they even question the fact that is it a good idea to even do another Jungle Book film, the Andy Serkis film, which is now titled Jungle Book Origins, which was pushed back because of Disney's remake of Jungle Book.
I think that's what I said when we were talking about Jungle Book. It's like it seems like a bad idea for them to do their one.
I mean, excuse me, it is really annoying because I don't think, we are definitely not people who are sitting here going, DC deserves to burn. If they can make good films, fine.
I'm always happy for good content about characters I like.
Same here. Just looking at some of the things she is potentially, we're assuming it's a she under the name.
Say I use the name Gracie.
Yeah, Gracie, yeah. They're even mentioning things about, talking about Wonder Woman, as she claims people inside are already confirming it's another mess. They're hiding that fact with a great trailer.
Yeah.
To which they then kind of go on to talk about how it's these CEOs who are making these decisions, and once these films are failing, they're kind of just, going, oh no, that failed. Well, I guess we'll have to fire that guy who had no, fire this guy, that guy. They're saying that good people are, losing their jobs over this, and they use one, really great analogy where they kind of say, if I worked at a donut stand and kept fucking up donuts, I'd be fired. Even if I made a tiny decent one every now and then, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm going to get fired. And I think if this is true, I think this is the thing that DC needs to kind of acknowledge and kind of come up, because you have to remember, all Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, these are films that all failed, and no one has been blamed. Yeah. They have just gone, oh well, someone messed up, or that guy messed up.
And you see all these the smaller people that are getting fired for it, and some of the best stuff in these films are stuff like set design or costume design.
Yeah.
And these are the people that are getting the blame for the kind of stuff.
I don't think anyone can argue that some of the costumes of the superheroes have been pretty cool.
Yeah, they've been very well done.
But obviously if the film underperforms, we'll fire them because it was obviously their fault. A whole reason was not received well. We get to kind of my favorite, other than them talking about how even just going into more of the mess that is Warner Brothers, how they're confirming, like as they say, ridiculous mess for rushed and boring like press conferences, announcing things that obviously aren't ready, like the Justice League trailer, which I did say, according to this trailer, I remember saying, according to the trailer, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to happen in Justice League if that's what we have to go on. Literally, sorry to rephrase, it's literally, we're going to find the superheroes, we're going to fight some guy, maybe.
And something, it might sound quite similar when we do our Suicide Squad video. So
yeah, I mean, and we kind of end with this is kind of when I think the person writing this article kind of channels a bit of me into it, where they kind of speak about everyone's favorite, Zack Snyder, to which he says, this guy is responsible for a lot of these films. He is, as I'm trying to remember, I think he is he's like exclusive producer on almost every DC executive. Thank you, executive producer on these films, and he's not being punished.
No, he really should have been by now.
I mean, you're the exclusive producer. You have some control over what is going into the budget, the ideas, the marketing, all this kind of thing, and you are not being held accountable. I mean, they kind of go on to say Zack Snyder is not delivering. Is he being punished? Assistants who are doing fantastic work certainly were. People in finance and in the marketing and in the IT, they had no say in the movie called Batman v Superman, only having 8 minutes of Batman fighting Superman in it. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I think it's common knowledge the film isn't very good. That ends because their mums have the same names.
Yeah.
Snyder is the producer on every DC movie. He is still directing Justice League. He is being rewarded with more opportunities to get more people laid off. And if this is true, that is fucking disgusting.
That's horrible. I didn't know he was still directing Justice League at all.
Apparently, according to this, he is, and I thought he'd been removed. I thought he'd been removed of everything.
So did I.
From then, but I don't like this. Obviously, this could be fake. This could be someone stirring shit. But obviously, there are things that are mirroring truth from what we can gather.
So take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we are not presenting this as truth. We are presenting this as one possibility, which is unfortunately becoming more and more likely.
Yeah.
And as a funny kind of way to wrap up the whole DC section, Ace, do you want to take this kind of...
yeah, you might have to provide the quotes, though.
Okay, sure thing.
But basically in response to this, or as I'm going to call it, damage control, the new director of Wonder Woman, being Patty Jenkins, has decided to try and call this bullshit.
Yes, now, obviously she would.
Yes.
Because this is something she's working on. And
she's being paid for this.
She's obviously being paid, whether she's done this, whether she's one of those kinds of people who has obviously decided to open their mouth before DC has said anything. Yeah. I don't know, but she's definitely taken to Twitter, the most professional place to talk about real ethical businesses within corporations, in which to say, whoa, we just saw this press about WW, Wonder Woman, having problems. Are they serious? This is some made up BS right now. Made up. Produce a source. Anyone? To which he also kind of goes on to say, zero about this movie we are making has been called a mess by anyone in the know. It's a weird way of phrasing it. Fact. Full stop.
In the know, do they mean higher ups or what?
I don't know. I would imagine she is one of the higher ups. If anything, if you are directing this film, you should have a lot of control over what is happening in your film. Now, this sounds like someone who's very scared.
Exactly.
This sounds, I mean, like I said, we don't know if that previous article is truth, but it sounds as though something in the article has struck a chord and they have gone, right, I need to sort this out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, maybe someone's lying. Maybe there's some truth and they're going, okay, well, we really need this film to be a success. Maybe Patty Jenkins knows that if this film fails, they will never have another woman in a superhero film, and then Marvel will come along with Captain Marvel, steal the show, and then they're going, damn.
Yeah, because we know how to write it good. But,
chances.
And obviously, if you're on another, and this is definitely on her character, she has said on Twitter before how Suicide Squad is really good. And not just, like, great, like, as in really great, capitalized, great.
She's entitled to her own opinion, but obviously that is a bit biased coming from someone who works at DC currently. That's like me working for Disney and going, oh yeah, all the next Pixar and Disney
Yeah.
films, they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
Please go watch them. I've seen them all. They're 5 stars. They're going to make a ton of money. Trust me, I work at Disney.
Exactly. So, yeah, she's the damage control at the moment.
Yeah.
That's who they're relying on.
And I think it's kind of funny that maybe I like the idea that maybe she's taken it upon herself to kind of speak for a whole corporation and kind of say, oh no, we're not having any kind of issues. It's not as if Suicide Squad was some kind of mess.
It's like she's standing in front of a falling down house saying, it's fine, don't worry.
It's fine, hoping that when the front of the house collapses, she's standing right where the window is, basically. I mean, thanks to all this production issues and what we've going to and have said on the Suicide Squad film, I'm done with DC.
Yeah, I am going to be very cautious with DC at the moment. DC films, Warner Brothers films, I am being extraordinarily cautious.
And I think, unfortunately, we're not alone. I think a lot of people have been hurt and burnt out too many times for them to go, oh yeah, well, I'm sure Justice League will be good. Oh, it wasn't. Oh, I'm sure Wonder Woman will be good. Oh, it wasn't. Oh, that standalone Batman film. Oh, it wasn't.
Yeah.
How long is this going to go on? Can they even produce a film that is decent?
I mean, you look at Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. 3 of the worst films being Thor: Dark World, Iron Man 2, and Incredible Hulk.
Which Incredible Hulk? The first Incredible Hulk?
The Incredible Hulk, not
the 2003 one.
Not Ang Lee's Hulk. I'm talking about the normal Incredible Hulk.
Oh, that one is fantastically bad.
What, Ang Lee's?
Yeah, the one where he literally tried to make a comic book movie.
Yeah. No, but the 2008 Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those are like the 3 worst Marvel Cinematic Universe films.
Everything else is decent to good.
Yeah. And even looking at those, they still have some good moments. I can barely pick out good moments from these films. I mean, there's actually one good moment in Suicide Squad, and it's good in concept, basically. And I can't wait to talk about that bit. But all the rest of it is just nothing. It's quite sad.
It is very distressing, because I think we also did have kind of a... we did kind of also speak about how it seems as though Warner Brothers is going to go the same way of Sony. Really struggling to have any kind of solid grasp on like profit or franchise. I mean, if for anyone who's unaware, Sony is in a bit of a predicament because their biggest franchises have all underperformed.
Yep. And
obviously Ghostbusters has now underperformed, which was kind of like they're hoping for that saving grace, or as Pork Fi put it, what I think will be a $1 billion idea.
God.
Which that has obviously not come to fruition. I mean, really? Do you know how many films in the history of film have made $1 billion?
Well, he was hoping
less than 20, motherfucker. But I mean, that's someone who's never going to get any work again.
Yeah.
But it is very distressing, and I'm sure a lot of DC fanboys are probably typing right now, going, "Oh, you guys are being, thingy." To which I would say, well, you can chat when your studio or your side steps the fuck up. Until then, I will still be talking shit about DC.
Yeah, and if you want to talk shit to me or to Raccoon, you can always message us
always
on
message
Raccoon
us,
Plus Friends.
Yes, that fateful email, which is in the description. We would like to actually get a discussion via people, whether via email or even if you want to Skype us, that's perfectly fine. We'd be more than happy to discuss.
I'd love to talk comic books. I love them.
Exactly. We are people who can take criticism and opinion.
Yeah.
Unlike some. But yeah, so finally moving away from
one toxic fandom to another.
Or to another, yeah, that's actually a really good segue. So we're moving on to the Disney side of things, and unfortunately, to my dismay, we are talking about Rogue One's official trailer, which, you guys already know I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You guys should already know.
So I'm gonna slightly talk a bit about this. It does all the familiar cinema like teaser tropes at the moment. You've got your slow music that's a famous theme from the franchise. You've got, fading in and out like to black, and it's like, ugh, no. And then you've got the nice little cameo bit at the end of 1 second of the fanboys, like wank material. And that's basically it.
Being Darth Vader.
Yeah.
who we did talk about being confirmed in this film, which I was like, oh well, Star Wars is done.
Yeah. The Darth Vader's is back, guys. He's back. Everyone loves Vader.
Apparently, yeah.
That's why he had to be.
He is Star Wars. You have to remember that. He's the only thing.
I can't wait until Yoda pops up in this film now. I can't wait. It's gonna happen now. You know, someone will say
Probably at the end, if anything.
I'm gonna go to Dagobah.
Because I mean, Rogue One implies there's gonna be Rogue 2.
No, it's the name of the ship, the Rogue One.
But were there not at least ships that had other numbers in them?
There are, but I'm presuming the rest of the Rogue Squadron are in this.
I can't see this film being too terribly successful.
I can't see it being so that successful either.
Obviously, like I said, didn't like it, thought it was rubbish. The one thing that struck me about this film is it's so dirty. Like,
in what way?
I'm not saying I want that kind of clean Hollywood look. It's just everything about it doesn't look clear. The special effects, I don't know if they're putting a filter in order for it to look old, but everything just looks drab and dirty. Like all the characters are dirty.
Yeah.
The special effects look not as good as Episode 7. I don't know if that is an intentional, because of Episode 7 takes place in the future, or obviously they haven't finished the special effects, but it just doesn't look very presentable. It's too dark. It's just too unpleasant to be anything that I think a Star Wars fan or an audience would want when you think Star Wars.
Well, it's if we look at my favourite Star Wars kind of stuff, I've got 3 things. There's the original film, there's the second film, and obviously being Empire.
And Episode 3 the best.
Oh, no.
I'm joking.
No, it's Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, The Sith Lords. And that one is probably the darkest piece of Star Wars fiction ever. And it deals with morality, and I love it. And it does have this grimy sensibility to it, and that's... I can see what you're saying, that most people that Star Wars won't like that, because a lot of them have disdain towards that game, because it's not saying everything's so black and white. That's why I was looking forward to this. It's got that grimy sensibility I like for usually such a presentably clean world. Universe.
I don't think there is going to be any grime, as you put it, in this film.
I don't think so as well. It's going to be surface level.
I think the worst thing that's going to happen is someone's hand is going to get cut off and then there'll be no blood.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, if they have that guy fighting stormtroopers with a stick, it goes to show they are, they're obviously running low on that budget.
Yeah.
He was originally meant to have a lightsaber, much like Darth Maul, but they were like,
Was he really?
No, I'm joking.
Okay. Because I was going to say, one of the best things about this so far is that I haven't seen a single lightsaber.
Oh, the female lead has one.
She better not. If she does, it ruins it.
The final shot of her walking up to that TIE fighter.
Yeah, yeah.
The way she's walking and limping, and the fact that she has slanted and you can't see her, that's a lightsaber.
I thought that just meant she was pretending to be injured or something, so she wouldn't have to be a stormtrooper.
There is no reason why an injured lady walking with a limp and a stoop would need to walk up to a TIE fighter if they had no intentions of attacking it without a lightsaber.
Well, she could fly it. You don't need a good...
But someone's already flying it. Not unless she's going to GTA it, then it'll be fine, but...
Maybe.
Not in her condition. It literally looks like they're possibly maybe homaging some kind of fight between Luke and Darth Vader, where it's like, oh man, I'm going to wail on you and I'm going to get you. Possibly.
I hope not. That'd be awful.
If I know cliched, that will probably happen. I could probably put money that shot she has a lightsaber in. I'm not going to go freeze frame and, zoom in,
I mean, I really want a piece of Star Wars fiction that doesn't use a lightsaber.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, Knights of the Republic 2, okay? I went through the whole game not using a lightsaber once.
And you got no achievements?
No. Well, yeah, there isn't really achievements because that came out before achievements.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I went through the whole game using the Force and blasters, and it was great. It was fantastic. Because the game doesn't make you use a lightsaber. You get given your lightsaber, but your whole character is kind of, the past is the past. I'm not going back to that. It's great. It's why I love it so much. They managed to still be in the franchise. Other people use them, but they're much rarer because they know they don't have to rely on lightsabers.
Yeah, we have very much that kind of reaction when if you see Rich Evans of Red Letter Media's reaction to episode 7 first trailer when he sees Kylo Ren bring out the lightsaber, he's like, oh
yeah, exactly.
And then immediately he's like, yeah, you know, that's pretty much, I think a lot of you know people when they see a lightsaber, it's like, oh okay, well you're not gonna fight then, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, this trailer, I mean, from what I've heard, and I haven't been able to find any articles on this, but it's a bit of a rumor mill, but apparently this film is in a bit of trouble with, like, reshoots. Apparently they are reshooting parts of it so close to its actual release.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because that suggests that someone saw this film or someone wasn't happy with what the film was presenting and went, no, we need to change things now, because 4 months before a film comes out, you need to be editing.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
need to be adding special effects. Principal photography should be done by now.
This should just be all post-production.
Exactly, and for you to be wasting more time, we could see a film that might be plagued with some production problems because
some bad wigs.
Maybe. I mean, everything has to be perfect for this film to be a success. This is the first spin-off of many. If this one fails, they're going to be in big trouble because then they have to hold over until next year with episode 8. And I like in the comment section people saying, oh, this is episode 8.
Oh, yeah, and a lot of people saying, where's Ray? It's like, oh, you guys that dumb? Yeah, Ray from episode 7. People are like, oh, where's she? Who's this new girl? It's like, do you know? And then, okay, so 2 of the best ones. Is this the 4th Death Star? It's like, no, it's the 1st Death Star, and there's only been 2. Where are you getting 4 from?
Playing too much Lego Star Wars. You thought that was a different series.
Yeah, and then I can't remember the other one. Oh yeah, there are still people doing the whole social justice stuff. That kind of
I think that's played out now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna get any more topical than Ghostbusters 2016, a film that's already being forgotten.
Yeah. You know, I did actually forget about it until you mentioned it on this, earlier.
Yeah, it's going to be forgettable. They ain't going to get no sequel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was cancelled due to budget reasons, for money.
Yeah, they have, 3 more countries to release it in, and you ain't going to make $150 million to recoup for your losses. No, you ain't. Even if you scrapped all your advertising in those countries.
Yeah.
You already lost China, because, apparently they don't like ghosts.
Yeah.
Because it's,
That's
just a lie. They just don't like the idea that it's females.
Yeah.
Simply put.
And considering China is one of the biggest when it comes to box office, you've lost a major market.
Yeah, they messed up. It's their own fault. I mean, you mess up. This is just a bit of inside, knowledge and just research. You messed up when you have your film, be viewed negatively by males and females. You then hide the fact that females don't like this film and try and portray it as if only males are sexist, dislike it, and then ultimately realize that, hey, males don't give a single fuck about this film. Oh no, we have to now market towards males. Trust me, just do a quick Google search and look up the posters for this for the 2016 film. Notice how it is just the silhouettes of the female characters.
Yeah.
Notice how during one Papa John's commercial, it was Papa John in the outfit. Notice how when they had the one advert with the NBA players, it was all males in the costumes. Notice how the females, the actresses themselves, have never appeared in any source of advertising promotional thing.
That's something I've weirdly noticed.
Other than interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And considering the whole Melissa McCarthy had a problem with this film, she had problems.
It was actually, if you think about it, it was actually Melissa McCarthy and Paul Feig who were the loudest voices. The other 4, I think, Lindsay,
Kate McKinnon?
No, not Kate McKinnon. It's the other lady, the black lady.
Leslie Jones.
Yeah. She has a Twitter. The other 2 don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Leslie Jones got into that whole internet row with Milo Yiannopoulos. And he got banned because people were...
Who got banned? Milo or
Milo.
She? Oh.
Yeah, and there was a whole Free Milo campaign because his whole ban... He didn't care.
Free him from what?
From being banned from Twitter. He said he didn't care at all.
Yeah, too right.
Yeah.
Why would you care?
But, apparently some people who follow him were being racist, which is a major problem with the right side of politics. But looking on Leslie Jones's Twitter feed, she has said so many racist things about white people. It's scarily hilarious. And it's like, wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
and she hasn't been banned for those. It's kind of like, no.
Oh, because she's a celebrity, that's why.
Yeah.
Takes liberties. I mean, she would have to say something incredibly shocking, like, oh, all white people need to die. Actually, that's not even shocking. I can't even think
people
of...
have said that stuff on Twitter. And
yeah, I can't think of what would actually get a celebrity like her banned off Twitter. It would have to be something...
Nothing.
It would have... She'd have to kill someone, basically.
Probably. No, I think you can still get away with that. I mean, there have been people posting like, oh yeah, I'm going to kill white people, literally with a gun, and they're still on Twitter. Yeah.
It's a mess, and we always like to come back to this whole race, social justice, Black Lives Matter situation, because
it's unfortunate. It's what's happening in the world.
It's unfortunate. We like to stay. We try and stay away from it, but unfortunately, it creeps into so many things. Like I've said, come this time next year, that whole Ghostbusters female thing and bullshit is going to start up again with Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, people trying to make Rogue One a gender thing. People just want attention now. It's like
I think they're just taking it too far. It's like, nah.
It's going to be a crap movie, so just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. Let's move on to our final major topic, and that is a somewhat sad but funny one. And also, it goes on the idea of remembering something that people have obviously clearly forgotten about.
Yeah.
And that being Project Spark.
I was so happy when I found this. I sent it to you instantly, and it was just a fact of I had completely forgot about it. And when it struck me in my head, I was like, oh, I remember everything about this.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if people actually have forgotten about what this thing is. But Project Spark was essentially a kind of game which was exclusive to Microsoft Xbox One, which essentially allowed you to make games within its engine.
And you could share it with other people and play their ones.
Could call it like a slightly more updated Minecraft if you want.
Yeah.
But the real thing that got this game into, became the bane of most people's existence was the fact that they had the initial trailer and then showed an image of the video game character Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day, a franchise that Microsoft now owns and has not done anything with, and basically proceeds to, spit the lines, if memory serves correctly, well, you best make a game about me then, or something like that, which pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah.
The idea that you were going to take someone who people want more of and basically go, fuck you, you can't have him, you got to play our game if you want to make a game, much as some people have argued with these kind of games like Minecraft, is like, oh, these game developers getting lazy, now I have to make the game.
Yeah. But I think the funniest thing is, this game, Project Spark, was made free. Yeah. And then the DLC for Conker was stopped. They just did not release it.
Yeah, they actually, because I guess it was a surprise to me, that was actually part of the whole plan. Conker was going to appear in this game, I think, and then... Yeah,
basically you were going to be able to use him as a character in the games.
And even then... Yeah. That was just forgotten about. People just... It wasn't even... The hate was like there and then gone. Yeah. And then no one cared. I think it's one of those rare games that if you would actually, I can't remember what it's called. If you type it up on YouTube, you will not find a lot of Let's Players playing it. Yeah. Guaranteed.
Unlike Knack.
Everyone's playing Knack. If you haven't played Knack, unsubscribe. Get out of here.
Yeah. It should have been called Project Knack. People would have loved it.
Knack. But yeah, it is somewhat a shame to see it go down. But this is just once again poor marketing on the side of Microsoft, but at least Microsoft acknowledged that it's done. Yeah,
it's over.
It's over. I mean, I think actually the worst part about it was this is a decision made by Microsoft, not masses of hates or petitions or anything. This was Microsoft getting the message going, right, people didn't like what we did. Yeah. I think it's time to stop. Which speaks volumes when someone has to go and do that. Imagine if Sony did that and went, you know what? People really don't like this Ghostbusters films. You know what? Maybe let's take that money, put it into another project. We'll see how the next one goes. Let's reevaluate this thing. Because look what happened now. You have a studio based for Ghostbusters and you can't make nothing.
Well, they're still going ahead with their cartoon show.
But you already know it's going to be cheap as hell.
And Ivan Reitman's in charge of it, but they're going to
forcibly in charge. Yes,
they're going to interfere a lot.
Of course, because I already know the cartoon is going to be of such low budget. I'm talking Powerpuff Girls 2016 budget.
Oh, God.
Now,
I saw some of that. It was horrible.
Just as a quick mention, at some point in 2016, I am going to talk about Powerpuff Girls, the remake 2016, and it's not going to be pretty. And I know that's what they're going to do with Ghostbusters. They are not going to give it the love or care that Ghostbusters deserves. They are not going to have original characters. By original characters, I don't mean all new characters. I mean, they're not going to do anything with the characters.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be no character development.
I mean, here's just an example. If the show does not have the level of quality that Voltron, the Legendary Defenders, has, do not bother. If you're not going to put in that effort in any way, don't bother. Not interested. You can put Kylie Griffin in there. Don't care.
Well, it's set in the future, so she'd probably be dead.
Well, I don't care then.
Unless she's like an old lady and she's got like 2 twins called Dee Dee, you know. I'm making a Batman Beyond reference for anyone who doesn't know.
Oh, God. No. I mean, just terrible. We've talked enough about disappointment on this podcast, but let's talk about something that's pretty damn positive, and that is the video of the episode, which is, once again, going to be a Massive Attack song. They are going to come out with a new album, and this song, which they've released, called The Spoils, finally got a video, and it is pretty damn cool. If you are a fan of sculpture, 3D modeling, CGI effects, definitely watch this video.
Yeah.
Not only is the song fantastic, but it's a very haunting and beautiful video that definitely kind of... It's very funny what it says about, like, image and evolution and, you know, beauty, which is quite... not hilarious, but it is very interesting. I won't really spoil it, but, you know, the beauty is in the face in that sense, and we kind of want to leave you with that video. I probably won't, you know, link any other Massive Attack songs as the video of the episode, only because that's the second one in a row.
Yeah.
Second one now. But yeah, that pretty much going to wrap up podcast 43. Anything you would like to add to this before we finish up?
No, I can't really think of anything. I'm just really hyped for new manga, basically. Oh, well, not new manga, just other manga.
Okay.
I want more My Hero Academia. Need that. Need the fix.
Very slow with the books.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Volume 5 just came out when I purchased Volume 4.
Well, that's good. Eventually you're going to be stuck waiting for the books much longer once they get to volume, I think 9 exists now, so... Oof. But then again, you're in a good position to collect it early, so you won't have to wait too long. You won't be going, oh man, where's 3 out of 27 that I need?
Oh god, that'd be horrible.
It would. It is one of the downsides of collecting things that come in volumes. If you miss that one volume, oof, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Trust me, one of the downsides of collecting comics.
It really is. I still need Batman number 44. The more recent volume, not Rebirth, but yeah, other than that, I'm fine.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, the only thing left I would say is, like I did say at the beginning of this podcast, we have a ton of videos that should be going up over the next little while in between podcasts. Mostly film-based stuff we haven't really talked about, and stuff that has been mentioned but not gone into great detail that should be going up. Like I said, please keep in mind that I have been under quite a bit of work, so everything's kind of just been in a very still state for the most part, as I've just kind of been like, oh, no, I guess I can't really pretend to that in a sense. I mean, there's been way too many gaps in between each impression video, and I know people like those impression videos, so the next one is it's going to be coming soon. You have to remember, guys, when you literally spend weeks on end just working, and then once you have a break and that break is now dedicated to working on something else, it's going to be you have a very hard situation where it's like, well, do I decide to relax for a day, or do I decide to catch up for a day, or whatever? But trust me, we got a lot of things coming. I think it's fair to say we got a playthrough coming very soon.
Yes.
I think we're probably going to start uploading that every day after podcast 44. It's going to be a doozy.
Oh boy, yeah.
It's going to be fun. We've kept this a secret. It's taken us a while to do just because of hectic lives.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. We'll see if people like this new approach to playthrough. So that's something to look forward to. Lots to look forward to. I mean, we've got 4 months left this year. We've got 11 more podcasts to go. It should be all gravy. Maybe 2016 will turn around real quick. But that's the hope, I guess.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but no, if there's anything else that needs to be added, I guess I'll end the podcast by saying I am the Angry Raccoon.
I am Ace.
And we will see you on the next one.
Off Dewey-san.
Alright, laters, guys.